All right, welcome to this episode. Nothing will go there. Wheels on Wheels with Shay and myself,
Freaking wheels.
Aaron from Shedless. So last night we saw.
Finally, I guess I feel like finally, because this is one of those movies that my wife just absolutely is always just like chomping at the bit to go see.
Yeah.
And so by having gone a whole week later than it came out, I feel like we're behind.
Oh yeah. It's been a week. Something kind of original too. I don't think I've ever seen a horror movie like this. The closest thing that's to this was I saw this home invasion one of this guy trying to break into a deaf girl's house. I forget what it's called.
By the way, we're talking about Don't Breathe.
Oh yes, we saw Don't Breathe last night.
The latest movie from the. Sam Raimi didn't direct this one, but he produced it, so I'm guessing it's his production studio, Ghost House Productions.
Yeah, I did see that in the beginning. Yes, sure enough. So, yay, Sam Raimi.
And this new guy, who I can't even remember his name now, but yeah, it's another sort of home. The closest thing for me that was vaguely similar was this strange movie called Silent House, that starred Elizabeth Olsen, a few years ago.
Really?
And it's like one of those movies that the whole movie takes place in one take, sort of.
Oh,
there's a few cheats here and there.
Gotcha.
And
I have not seen that, but I've heard about it.
It's all right. This movie was much better, just in terms of its point. The first one just had one of these ridiculous endings where there's a plot twist at the end.
Oh.
That was actually one thing appreciable about this one. There's no plot twist per se.
Yeah. It's just a straight up horror. Is it horror?
Yeah, I would definitely, just because there's not a dwindling body count exactly, and there's not a supernatural menace. Everything that happens in the movie is vaguely plausible, if not completely impossible. But yeah. So you mentioned you wanted to do a spoiler-free segment on this first, right?
Yeah.
So just get a general gist.
A general gist of it. I liked it. It felt original, which people are constantly complaining about. No originality in Hollywood anymore. So
especially with horror movies, where there's a template, you just do the same thing over and over and over again, just with slightly different versions every time. This one is definitely outside of that mold, way outside of it, really. Though I felt like, as far as the flavor of it, really doesn't fit any of the horror subgenres, except for like you're talking about home invasion.
Home invasion, yeah. I guess
it's kind of an inversion of a home. It's a home inversion.
An
inversion of the standard because the protagonists are the
get off of my lawn. That's basically.
Which is a home invasion. Usually, it's the resident that's the protagonist, and this one flip flops it. The protagonists are the actual invaders, but it's still of that subgenre. It actually has a lot of aspects of, I don't know, the torture porn subgenre, where there are just things happening just to kind of make people be repulsed and stuff. That had a hint of that in this,
Yeah.
There was, and not just the one thing that
Oh, right, the one thing.
But no, there's this whole sort of subtext of this is a movie of this generation, where all these kinds of movies like Serbian film Hostel, the Piranhas
thing. I know I've seen them.
Some of the other ones, Green Inferno, just kind of movies where they're just trying to be as shocking, and this movie does not have that all the way through, but it just has this kind of it was made in this era, so it's almost just kind of like that's the new normal. It's like you're gonna have these sort of subtexts and issues where things are a little bit more unsettling, but if that's what it's got to take to scare the kids these days. They're just too jaded. You can't just do a straight up Night of the Living Dead, the original black and white.
Oh, right.
You have some kids sit down and watch that these days. Just
you're gonna bore them to death. Exactly.
Why?
Yeah.
They're talking so much.
Why is there so much talking in this movie? I liked it. One of the things that I thought of while I was watching it was that I was like, oh, this is like what are those games? The escape the room kind of games. You gotta find this. You gotta find this.
The little clues.
That leads to this, and you're trying to find the right way to get out of this room. I was like, that's kind of almost what this felt like a little bit, and it was kind of awesome to think about it like that.
I had that in my community, because you've actually been to one of those, right?
No, I have not. I know people who have, and I really want us to go to one.
I've not. Yeah, it's still sort of a virgin concept for me. So yeah, that sort of idea that there's only a certain way to escape this particular scenario, and you've got to find all the little plot coupons, the little key cards, just like in the old Doom game. You had to get the red key card, the blue card.
Right. How do I open up this blue door? Well, first you need the red key card to open up the red door.
God! I gotta go back through all those demons.
No!
But yeah,
but in this case, the demon is a blind man.
Yes, exactly. But it's the there's flawless casting because he has this feeling of oldness and frailty that the actor, and I cannot remember his name for life. He is the guy. He was the bad guy in Avatar.
Yeah. Did it say Sam Long something or something like that?
Lang. His last name is Lang for sure.
Mr. Lang.
I want to say Stephen Lang maybe, but
maybe it starts with an S.
Maybe, but he's a very menacing fellow because he's obviously he's managed to strike that balance between being old over a certain age, but at the same time like just really physically imposing.
Yeah, no, definitely. He was built. I was like, holy crap. I was like, well, if I was blind, I think I would probably just work out a lot too for something to do. Like this.
But it's just like if you recognize the actor, you see him, it's like, oh wow, I guess he is going to be a bit of a badass.
Yeah.
Because he always is. But in this particular case, he's an evil badass.
Yes, it was very. I mean, it's good. It really is good. I definitely recommend seeing it. It's different.
If you're a fan of horror in general, there's plenty of mom and dads at home. They're not going to want to see.
No, there was at one point a very tasteless scene comes up that it doesn't really seem to fit, but at the same time it keeps you pulled in.
Right. It is engrossing. Putting the gross in engrossing.
Right. Drip. That's all I gotta say.
But even thematically, because it's basically about a bunch of house robbers.
Yes.
And so for people who don't want to actually root for those kinds of people, the only redeeming aspect is that one of them has a reason to be doing this, and it's a fairly noble reason, and that's pretty much what carries that particular character through the whole movie.
Right.
So one of those things where it's just like, oh, okay, we can rely on this character because they are a relatively sound moral character.
Right. Of the bad guys robbing this old man, this is the one that has his head on his shoulders.
Decent motivation. So yeah, I mean, overall, I guess I would give it like 3 stars out of a 5, or what? I'm sorry, what's the system we use? The balloons.
Oh, the balloons. Out of 48 purple balloons.
Out of 48 purple balloons, I would give it 38.
38 pops.
38 pops. You like the pops?
I don't know. That's right.
We'll put the graphic in there.
Right. All these purple balloons. I won't do that. That's too much work. And that's where lazy gets you. All right. So here we go. Okay. So we'll spend a few minutes. If you really want to know what this is about, here is the section. The section?
The segment, the sequence. The scene.
That has a little bit more, not a little bit, but it's spoiler heavy now. There's a few things that we want to mention. So, I'm just going to jump right into...
Well, you get the gist of it. We're dashing the gist.
The gist of it.
So what we're kind of dancing around right now is like the main evil blind man character. The whole reason that everybody is taking an interest in him is because of a car accident that got his daughter killed. And it turns out, as a consequence of that he's actually abducted the girl who killed his daughter inadvertently.
Yes. Which they kind of give away in the trailer, which is a little weird.
Well, they give away a lot of things in the trailer.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to see the movie, I would suggest actually avoiding the trailer. Well, I mean, if you're already into the spoilers, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, avoid the trailer.
The trailer, if you can, yes.
Do that in general, just these days.
You kind of have to. Yeah, you kind of have to.
So he has captured the girl that killed his daughter, and as his means of exacting revenge is in his own twisted,
No,
morally
this doesn't make any
crazy.
sense to me.
Well, no, it only makes sense to crazy people. Like that's the thing is this guy. They almost try to make it feel like you're supposed to have some sort of sympathy with this guy, but there's no way.
Oh no, not
no
at
way.
all.
No way, because he's just completely off his rocker. And what he wants to do is get a new daughter back through this girl. So he's impregnated her.
And they try to make him have like a moral high ground. He's like, I'm not a rapist, but I mean,
well, the problem is in any court of law, what he's done, there's no aspect of that is not rape.
Right.
So like just because he didn't do the physical tab A slot B functions does not mean that what he didn't do to her was absolutely sexual assault.
Right? Oh yeah, no kidding.
So unfortunately, the fallout is in the course of everybody trying to escape this house, including the captured girl.
Right. Which they were able to set free and try to take her with them.
Right. Is she gets killed accidentally again, and so the guy is the blind, crazy military guy. He's going to try and start over with one of the new robbers, who's also a female.
Also a female, right?
So he's going.
It's a good thing he didn't. It's a good thing one of the survivors that he captured wasn't one of the guys. He's like, I don't know how this is going to work, but you're gonna give me a baby. Which I thought was kind of weird. Like to me, it made more sense for him to just capture her and just hold her captive for that. I was like, oh, okay, he's that kind of. But no, he's a step higher crazy.
Oh yeah, he's gonna take it to the next level. And they did a good job of hiding the first girl's pregnancy, so we weren't aware of that.
Right. It must have just happened recently.
No. Once we get better looks at the girl's dead body, you do actually see a tiny little baby bump.
Oh, okay.
That was one of those things that saw. Okay, this is actually what's going on. For a while there, I was actually kind of concerned that we were heading towards one of those downer ending kind of horror movies, which is like, are you kidding me? Is this really what people want to see these days?
Yeah, I didn't know. There was one or two points where you thought the movie was done, but it wasn't. And It wasn't bad like the third Lord of the Rings movie where it ended like 10 times.
Everything just keeps going on. But no, in this case, they managed to pull a few twists. Like I totally didn't think to consider that when the previous dude had been stabbed with the garden shears, that it was. I thought that was actually him. I thought he was done for. That's it for him.
I didn't even. I didn't even question. I knew. I leaned over and I was like, "Don't worry, it's the other."
Which is like, wow, that was.
And the person next to me was like, "Who the hell are you?"
It's like, oh, Aaron. Done it now.
I want to say something though before we get too far off the baby thing. Is that I was like, what if this girl is on one of those like 2-year like birth control things?
One of those IUDs or something.
Yeah, I'm like, he's all like, I'm gonna fill you full of semen, but like she's got like another year and a half yet before her thing wears off.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that his science is entirely sound as to how he was doing that. One thing, why did he still have that stuff frozen in his freezer if he'd already gotten the other girl knocked up, you know?
That's a good question. So there's a very gross scene that makes the entire theater squirm as he.
It's kind of the thing that you're just thinking about the whole rest of the time.
Yeah, he turkey basters up, what's left of his manhood and carries it over to the new girl and.
Just has a little hot plate right there to fire up.
Oh God, it was such a weird thing. But so yeah, there's that. That's the big moment that everybody who sees this movie will be talking about.
No one will be seated during the turkey basters. Boy, so yeah, they managed to get some hurtling out of the audience that way. But the rest of the movie is still a very taut suspense. It's a lot more. That one sequence kind of heads towards that sort of torture porn that I was talking about earlier.
Exactly. That movie could have done without that whole scene and still would have been perfect.
Mm-hmm. Would have been a perfectly serviceable, scary
movie.
Definitely. But as it stands, the rest of it is more of a it's not people getting killed left and right because there's only a handful of characters in the movie anyway.
Right.
So which is another budget-saving measure, kind of. By having most of the movie take place in a single location with a very limited cast, they managed to keep costs down, and they didn't have a large number of special effects,
No, definitely not. And based in Detroit, I'm not gonna lie. You know what? The studio probably bought that whole street for like $10,000.
Right. Well, I don't know if they bought it. They probably rented it out or something. But
I don't know, but like they could have. I have a friend in Flint who bought his house for $1,000. So it's very possible that each one of those homes could have been like $500.
Just own a street.
Right.
Movie studio just buys that, and they'll film a lot of project type movies there now.
Exactly. And that's probably how they were able to keep everybody off that street. They just own it. Overall, I definitely enjoyed it. We gave it however many balloons, pops, and all that.
38 out of 48.
It's definitely worth seeing. Does it need to be seen in theaters? I mean, not necessarily,
really.
but it's really good. It's for what it is.
It's recommended. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. We got anything else to add on to that? That may be it.
No. It was a very simplistic movie, and had a very simple subject material. So there's not a lot of in-depth analysis. There's no underlying thematic elements other than and the one thing is the one character, the girl who had a little sister who she wanted to take away from a horrible situation.
Right. God, I can't believe that joke the mom made. The inappropriate joke the mom made right in front of her like 10-year-old daughter.
But that was a very good shorthand for us to understand as an audience. So yeah, this kid definitely does not need to be here.
Exactly. Also, I just want to point out there were way too many white people in this movie for being in Detroit. Not one black person showed up, and that's not me trying to like stereotype anything. That's just the way it is. I mean,
except for that one white dude that was obviously trying to be.
Right. He had the cornrows and all that. Yeah.
A lot of tats and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
His name was Money in the movie.
It was.
Or his nickname rather was.
I don't know, but there was no people of color in that movie, which I thought was kind of
strange for a Detroit set movie.
Exactly.
I guess they wanted to avoid there being any sort of social commentary in that sense. So
that's like, probably what it was.
Some of the characters had like, then it would have been like, oh well, this is what it's saying about.
That's what I thought.
In which case, they would need to either have an all-white cast or an all-African American cast or an all-Asian cast somehow. And,
an all-Asian cast.
I mean, but this kind of movie does kind of feel like the kind of movie that got remade from like some Asian, horror film. Like like these people try to break into some blind dude's house. It turns out he's like a
martial arts master.
Exactly, a blind martial arts master, which is the most cliche thing in the world.
It kind of is.
And has captured a girl in his basement and is impregnating her. That sounds about right.
There's one. God, yeah, it does. There's one thing I didn't like. I don't like that they left it open, like something else.
With the fact that the one tiny itsy bitsy little twist, it doesn't really qualify as a twist, is that the old guy actually survives in the end. So yeah, the monster of the movie doesn't actually get killed, even though you think he does.
Yeah.
At the very tail end of the movie, you find out he actually lived.
So I picture like sequel coming on. It's like Don't Breathe 2, and it's like him, like
not breathing.
Him with his cane, his walking stick, trying to go through like the streets of LA, trying to get revenge.
If anything, okay, now you've got my brain going. I feel like, she's got to get revenge against him. Like, she would actually go back to, like, once she gets her sister all settled.
Oh, right.
She goes back to mete out the justice.
Yeah. Don't breathe again. Don't breathe anymore. Hold your breath longer. The Don't Breathe trilogy.
Or maybe just, okay, breathe. or better yet, both of them, both the old blind guy and the girl, both want to get revenge against each other. So they, like, set up this, like, the opposite of whatever a cat and mouse game is, where they're both intentionally trying to find each other.
Oh, jeez.
And, like, so, like, he booby traps his house.
Mm.
So because that's the first place she would come back to.
Right.
He leaves, like, all these hints to, like, and so the booby traps are going off, which obviously triggers something, so he knows that she's back. And so then they start engaging, like, I'm going to get you. No, I'm going to get you.
Right. Oh, man. Back and forth, back and forth. So there you go. So if they do make a sequel, I'm sure it'll be god-awful. I just can't even imagine.
Just the worst.
But, so there you go. I mean, I guess that's it. All right.
Don't breathe.
Don't
I know
breathe.
just what you're thinking. So please stop explaining. That's all I can hear is when people say don't breathe. It's like all of a sudden it's got to be no doubt in my brain.
Was that song in there anywhere?
No, because it's don't speak.
Oh, that's right. Which I guess kind of goes, because you got to be quiet while you're robbing a blind man.
All right, well, I guess we'll see you next time on Reels on Wheels.
I like that.
A little puff of smoke, like the wheels spin out and the words go like it's like a 1980s. You can't do that on television.
Oh, no.
Sequence.
Let you talk to the dead.
Virtual reality just means like the format in which you interact.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Oh, what they can do is put renderings of dead people into the system. So like as a safe choice, Abraham Lincoln, like put up a 3D Abraham Lincoln in the VR, and he just kind of walked around. It's like, hey,
407 years ago.
I got $5.01, but that's just my ID.
God. Did you come up with that?
Just now?
Yeah. Oh, I like it. Oh, Shay. Why is this so short?
So, because it's a die level. Remember that?
Oh, God! I mean, when did that happen?
It's always been that high.
No, it hasn't.
I promise it has. You may be thinking of that one, which is higher, but no, that one has.
You're telling me that's always been like this height?
Yeah. Not even messing with you.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna lay something on you real quick though.
All right.
About like 5 days ago, lots of little things seemed way off, and I thought maybe I have slipped into like an alternate dimension.
It's not the same bears thing, is it?
No.
Okay.
But like that. Like you swear it's always been like that. To me, it has never been like that.
You don't know the stop signs.
But
I'm just showing that as evidence that these stop signs around here are short. So you see that.
So that's just something else that is helping to prove my theory of.
Goodness.
I'm just like in the one right next to the left or the right, or the front and the back, or the up and the down. However you feel you can move into those other dimensions.
There's a whole Star Trek episode devoted to that. I'm not even kidding.
I need to watch it because that's just something else that freaks me out now.
It's about Worf. Worf keeps falling into a different dimension, like just slightly different from the one before it.
And like things are just a little off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. Is it a good episode?
Oh yeah, it's a great episode.
Okay, awesome.
It's kind of freaky. There's some really freaky stuff that happens towards the end.
Oh. You know, I was wondering too.
You should watch all the Star Treks. There's no reason not to.
Yeah, there really isn't. I was wondering too. I was like, I wonder how many I would have to go over before, like, I don't know, dinosaurs were pets or something. You know what I mean? Just like,
well, if it's just incremental stuff, you wouldn't have to start worrying until America like wasn't a democracy anymore, or like gasoline engines hadn't been invented. That's the stuff like that'd come way before dinosaurs being pets. You know?
Oh, okay. Oh, I got you. Right. Okay. All right.
So long as every time you wake up everybody's still speaking English, you should be okay. Should be.
Right. God, I wake up, it's not even like, it's just gibberish. It's not even Chinese or Russian or something.
It's a language that doesn't exist in the original timeline.
Exactly.